Have you ever been lied to or manipulated? Deceit can feel like a betrayal, leaving us hurt or angry. But what if there's a way to face dishonesty without losing our inner peace? The ancient Stoics, philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, offer timeless wisdom for handling deceit with clarity and resilience. In this video, we'll explore 5 Stoic principles to navigate dishonesty in a way that strengthens your character and protects your peace of mind. Don't take deceit personally. One of the most freeing and empowering lessons from Stoicism is the idea that deceit should not be taken personally. Seneca, one of Stoicism's greatest thinkers, reminds us that human flaws, dishonesty included, are universal and often stem from ignorance, selfishness, or desperation, rather than outright malice. By understanding this, we can approach deceit with a greater sense of compassion and perspective, recognizing the source of deceit. When someone deceives you, it often has little to do with you as a person and everything to do with the deceiver's own struggles, fears, or misguided beliefs. People may lie or manipulate because they're trying to protect themselves, gain an advantage, or because they lack the emotional maturity to act otherwise. Viewing deceit through this lens can help you detach from the emotional weight of the experience. It's also helpful to acknowledge that deceit is often rooted in fear. Fear of loss, rejection, or failure. Recognizing this doesn't excuse the lie, but it allows you to view the deceiver not as a malicious force, but as someone who acted out of vulnerability or misunderstanding. This perspective makes it easier to respond rationally, with empathy, rather than anger, because you see that the lie reflects their internal conflict, not your worth or actions. A reflection of their character, not yours. In Stoicism, there's a clear distinction between what's within your control and what's not. Another person's dishonesty is firmly beyond your control. As Epictetus explained, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Deceit reflects the character of the liar. It's their failing, not yours. If you can view the situation objectively, you might even pity the person who has resorted to dishonesty. As Marcus Aurelius would say, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, but instead of letting these behaviors frustrate him, Marcus chose to remain kind and virtuous because he understood that these people didn't truly know a better way. Shifting perspective to let go of resentment. When we view deceit as a reflection of human nature rather than a personal attack, it becomes easier to let go of anger and resentment. This doesn't mean you condone the lie. It means you choose not to let it dominate your thoughts or emotions. By reframing deceit as part of the human condition, you preserve your inner peace and maintain a stoic detachment from things beyond your control. Stoics often speak of events as neutral, gaining significance only from the judgments we assign them. Marcus Aurelius would reflect on how irrational it is to carry hatred or resentment for others. The best revenge, he wrote, is not to be like your enemy. When you let resentment fester, you give the deceiver more power over your life than they deserve. Shifting your perspective allows you to redirect this energy toward something constructive, like learning from the experience or practicing forgiveness, which ultimately benefits your growth. Why your peace matters most. Taking deceit personally allows it to harm you twice, first in the act itself, and then in the emotional pain you choose to carry afterward. The Stoic path encourages us to stop this cycle. Ask yourself, why let someone else's flaws disturb your peace of mind? Their actions are theirs to own, but your emotional response is yours to control. Your peace of mind is one of the few things over which you have complete control. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly emphasized that external events are powerless to harm you without your consent. Imagine a deceitful act as a stone thrown into your mental pond. You can choose whether to let it sink quietly or create waves by reacting emotionally. When you prioritize your peace, you reclaim the power that deceit might have stolen and stay grounded in the strength of your character. Seneca wrote, "If you wish to be loved, love." This reminds us that cultivating understanding and empathy, even for those who deceive, does not make us weak. It strengthens us. By not taking deceit personally, we don't let it define us or our values. Instead, we rise above it, preserving both our integrity and tranquility. Respond with wisdom, not emotion. In the face of deceit, it's natural for emotions to rise. Anger, betrayal, even the desire for revenge. These feelings are understandable, but often counterproductive. Stoicism reminds us that reacting impulsively to deceit rarely resolves the situation and often makes it worse. Instead, we are called to pause, think rationally, and respond with wisdom and reason. Why emotional reactions fail. An emotional response, such as lashing out or retaliating, may feel satisfying in the moment, but it often leads to regret or unintended consequences. Emotions can cloud judgment, leading you to act in ways that go against your principles. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca observed, anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. When we allow emotions to take control, we risk becoming like those who have wronged us. Stoicism challenges us to hold ourselves to a higher standard, even when others do not. The power of pausing. Epictetus advised that when confronted with troubling events, we should pause and reflect before reacting. He said, "If someone tells you a piece of news, don't let yourself get carried away by it. Ask whether it is the kind of thing that is up to you or not. If it is not, be ready to say, 'This is nothing to me.'" By pausing, we give ourselves the space to regain clarity and perspective. Ask yourself, what outcome do I truly want from this situation? How can I respond in a way that reflects my values rather than my emotions? This brief moment of reflection can mean the difference between escalating conflict and resolving it peacefully. Focusing on your inner power. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Deceit is an external event beyond your control, but your response is entirely within your power. This perspective is empowering because it places the responsibility and the capability for a wise reaction squarely in your hands. To act with wisdom rather than emotion means responding in a way that aligns with reason, justice, and your long-term well-being. Instead of lashing out, you can choose actions that de-escalate the situation, set healthy boundaries, or even demonstrate compassion if the circumstances allow. Justice and reason over retaliation. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of justice, not vengeance. A measured response to deceit might involve calmly addressing the lie, seeking to understand its motives, or letting it go entirely if confronting it won't serve a meaningful purpose. Acting with reason ensures that your response is effective, proportional, and aligned with your values. Retaliation, by contrast, pulls you away from virtue and into a cycle of negativity. As Seneca wisely stated, revenge is an admission of pain. A noble spirit overlooks an injury. Responding with wisdom shows strength of character and prevents you from being dragged down by the actions of others. Choosing wisdom over emotion doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or ignoring injustice. Instead, it means acknowledging your emotions, understanding them, and then deciding how to act in a way that serves your higher self. This deliberate, stoic approach not only preserves your peace, but also helps you navigate deceit with dignity and strength. When faced with dishonesty, remember, you cannot control the actions of others, but you can always choose to respond with reason, fairness, and integrity. That choice defines who you are, not their deceit. Don't let it disturb your peace. Stoicism teaches that external events, including deceit, only affect us if we allow them to. Epictetus famously said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This principle reminds us that our emotional disturbances are not caused by the events themselves, but by the judgments we form about them. A lie may sting when you first encounter it. The betrayal of trust or the manipulation can create a flood of emotions. But the longer you dwell on that lie, replaying the situation or imagining what you should have said, the more power you hand over to the deceitful act. The nature of external vs. internal events. Stoicism divides life into two categories: things we control and things we don't. Deceitful actions, whether a blatant lie or manipulation, are external events entirely beyond your control. You didn't choose for it to happen, and you couldn't have stopped it. What lies within your control, however, is your internal reaction. Marcus Aurelius echoed this sentiment. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The challenge, then, is to reclaim that power and not let someone else's wrongdoing disturb your inner tranquility, choosing to protect your peace. When someone deceives you, ask yourself, does dwelling on this situation bring me closer to my goal of living a peaceful and virtuous life? Epictetus would argue that replaying the event or letting it fester only fuels negative emotions, anger, sadness, and frustration, pulling you further from the serenity that Stoicism values. Instead, recognize that you have a choice. You can let the event define your day, week, or even longer. Or you can treat it as what it truly is, just another external event, insignificant in the grand scheme of your life. The moment you see deceit as a passing occurrence rather than a defining moment, you begin to take away its ability to harm you emotionally. Shifting your perspective. It can help to reframe how you think about the situation. Stoics encourage us to see hardships, including deceit, as opportunities for growth. When someone lies to you, it can be an exercise in practicing patience, resilience, or forgiveness. Seneca reminds us that tranquility comes not from avoiding challenges, but from cultivating strength within ourselves to face them. You might also reflect on how fleeting these situations are. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself of the temporary nature of all things, saying, "Time is a sort of river of passing events, and strong is its current. No sooner is a thing brought to sight than it is swept by, and another takes its place. The pain of deceit will pass, as will your frustration, if you choose not to cling to them." Mastering the mind. Epictetus spoke about how the mind is a fortress, impenetrable unless you open its gates to an attacker. Lies, manipulations, and betrayals cannot truly harm you unless you give them the power to. By remaining steadfast and committed to your peace of mind, you deny deceit the control it seeks to exert over you. When the lie surfaces in your mind, try this Stoic exercise. Pause and identify your immediate judgment of the event. Ask yourself, is this reaction serving my goal of living virtuously? Replace the emotional response with a logical one, such as, this event does not define me, nor does it dictate how I feel. Each time you practice this, your inner peace grows stronger, making it harder for future challenges to disturb you. Deceit is an unavoidable part of life, but how much space you allow it to take up in your mind is entirely up to you. The Stoics understood that letting external events like lies consume you only serves to prolong your suffering. Instead, anchor yourself in the understanding that you are in control of your response. Focus on maintaining your inner tranquility and letting go of what you cannot change. In doing so, you remain unshaken, demonstrating the strength and peace that lies at the heart of Stoic philosophy. Focus on your own virtue. Stoicism teaches that while you cannot control the actions of others, you have complete authority over your own character. This principle is particularly important when dealing with deceit. If someone lies to you or acts dishonestly, their behavior reflects their values, or lack thereof, not yours. The key is to maintain your integrity regardless of their actions. The separation of character. Epictetus often emphasized this distinction. It's not things that disturb us, but our judgment of them. Similarly, it's not the deceit that defines us, but how we respond to it. When someone deceives you, you might feel tempted to retaliate, lose your temper, or lower yourself to their level. However, such reactions shift your focus away from your virtue and toward their wrongdoing. Your responsibility is to ensure that your actions remain aligned with your principles. Their lie is their burden to carry, not yours. By focusing on your virtue, you rise above the situation and remain true to who you are, acting with integrity amid dishonesty. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one when faced with deceit. Let this reminder guide your actions. Even if the other person's behavior frustrates or hurts you, commit to acting with honesty, fairness, and self-control. In doing so, you preserve your dignity and uphold Stoic values. Demonstrating integrity in the face of dishonesty also sends a powerful message. Deceit doesn't have to be met with hostility. By choosing kindness, you break the cycle of negativity and set an example for others, even if the deceiver doesn't recognize it. Viewing deceit through empathy. Epictetus wrote, when someone acts badly toward you, keep in mind that he does so because he thinks it's appropriate. This perspective can help us approach deceit with empathy rather than anger. People who lie often do so because they are driven by fear, insecurity, or ignorance. This understanding doesn't excuse the behavior, but it allows you to respond from a place of composure and wisdom. Instead of being consumed by frustration, remind yourself that their actions are rooted in their own struggles, not in you. This reflection keeps your focus where it belongs, on your own actions and character. Avoiding the trap of blame. Blaming the liar might feel justified, but from a Stoic perspective, it distracts from the real task, preserving your own virtue. Marcus Aurelius advises us to shift attention inward, saying, be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. The idea isn't to excuse dishonesty, but to ensure that your energy remains focused on what truly matters, your response. Rather than seeking justice or becoming preoccupied with how someone wronged you, use the situation as an opportunity to practice patience, understanding, and restraint, building strength through adversity. The Stoics viewed adversity as a means to grow stronger. If someone deceives you, treat it as a test of your character. Can you remain composed? Can you continue to act with honesty and fairness despite the dishonesty you've encountered? Seneca wrote, "The good man is neither moved nor crushed by external things. He has chosen to be the master of his own mind. Each time you remain virtuous in the face of deceit, you reinforce your strength and resilience, preparing yourself for greater challenges ahead. In moments of dishonesty, your virtue is your shield. Focus on what lies within your control, your thoughts, actions, and choices, and let go of what is outside of it. Others may falter in their integrity, but you can rise above by holding steadfast to your values. By prioritizing your virtue, you refuse to let deceit pull you down or define you. Instead, you demonstrate the strength, wisdom, and integrity that Stoicism teaches, proving that your character is not dictated by external events, but by the principles you choose to live by. Prepare for challenges. One of the most practical lessons from Stoicism is the importance of preparing your mind for the difficulties you'll inevitably face. Marcus Aurelius embodied this practice by reminding himself each morning that he would encounter selfish, deceitful, or manipulative people throughout his day. Begin each day by telling yourself, "Today I shall meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, and unsocial." Far from fostering cynicism, this Stoic exercise, known as premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils, helps build emotional resilience and mental clarity. Anticipation is not cynicism. It's important to note that premeditatio malorum doesn't mean assuming the worst about others or expecting disappointment at every turn. Instead, it's a way to prepare for life's unpredictability. The Stoics understood that challenges are an inevitable part of human existence. Deceit, manipulation, and selfishness are human flaws we're bound to encounter. By acknowledging this truth, we reduce the element of surprise and the emotional upheaval it often causes. Think of it as mental training. Just as an athlete conditions their body for physical challenges, preparing your mind for life's inevitable difficulties strengthens your capacity to remain calm, composed, and virtuous when faced with them. Reducing emotional reactivity. When you expect that you might encounter deceit, you're less likely to be thrown into anger or frustration when it happens. The emotional energy you might have wasted on being shocked or outraged is conserved, allowing you to focus on responding rationally. Marcus Aurelius, in his reflections, constantly reminded himself of human nature so he could meet challenges with equanimity instead of resentment. This mindset isn't about dismissing injustice or dishonesty, but about minimizing its emotional toll. By preparing for the possibility of deceit, you shield yourself from being overwhelmed by it when it occurs. Strength in realistic expectations. The Stoics believed in setting realistic expectations. Marcus Aurelius's writings reveal a profound acceptance of the flaws in human nature, not to excuse bad behavior, but to approach life as it truly is rather than how we wish it to be. He wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be selfish, envious, or deceitful. They are like this because they do not know the difference between good and evil." This statement reflects a compassionate realism. People often act out of ignorance, fear, or flawed reasoning. Recognizing this in advance helps you to be less judgmental and more understanding. While you don't have to condone deceit, you can approach it with a level-headed perspective, reducing its power to disturb your peace. Practicing premeditatio malorum. To make this Stoic exercise part of your life, take a few moments in the morning to mentally prepare for potential challenges. Reflect on the kinds of difficulties you may face. Will someone try to take advantage of you? Will you encounter dishonesty or selfishness? Will a situation test your patience or values? Visualize these situations and imagine responding to them calmly and virtuously. By preparing your mind for these possibilities, you transform potential triggers into opportunities for self-mastery and growth. Resilience through adversity. The Stoic perspective on challenges is not one of resignation, but of strength. By anticipating deceit and other difficulties, you don't give up on people or become detached from the world. Instead, you become better equipped to navigate life with resilience. Each challenge becomes a chance to practice your Stoic principles and prove to yourself that you can rise above external events. Seneca reminds us that hardships are like a fire to a blacksmith. They forge and strengthen the character of those willing to endure and grow. By preparing for deceit or manipulation, you reaffirm your commitment to virtue and self-control, regardless of the circumstances. Preparation is the cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. When you arm yourself with the knowledge that deceit is part of the human experience, you develop an inner fortitude that can't be shaken by the actions of others. Rather than feeling caught off guard or falling into despair, you're ready to face dishonesty with wisdom, composure, and strength. Remember, expecting challenges doesn't make you pessimistic. It makes you resilient. By practicing premeditatio malorum and anticipating deceit, you cultivate a mindset that allows you to remain unshaken, preserving your inner peace and embodying the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. Deceit is an unfortunate part of life, but Stoicism teaches us that it doesn't have to rob us of our peace or integrity. By not taking it personally, responding with wisdom, maintaining your tranquility, focusing on your virtue, and preparing for challenges, you can handle dishonesty with grace and resilience. Which of these Stoic principles resonates most with you? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more practical Stoic wisdom. Thank you for watching, and remember, stay strong, stay virtuous, and stay at peace.